Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Dear students, today inshallah we will do the workbook exercise of chapter 11, transports in humans. To recall the concepts already done in previous lectures. So let's start from the true or false statements. The first statement is there are about 5.5 liters of blood in your body. It's a true statement. There are three types of blood cells: red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. It's also a true statement. Red blood cells are made in the bone marrow. True statement. White blood cells produce antitoxins to kill the microorganisms that gets into the body. False statement. Tissue fluids is mainly water and it's form a continuous link between the blood plasma and the cell cytoplasm. It's a true statement. Come towards the second questions, the multiple choice questions. The first statement is, what part of the blood carries dissolved food materials? So the correct option is option A, plasma. The second statement is, which part of the blood has no color? So the correct option is option D, white blood cells. Roughly, how long do red blood cells live? So option C is the correct one, that is a few months. Come toward the fourth statement of this question. What is an average pulse rate for a young person? So that is around about 70 per minute, option B. What do white blood cells produce to kill the microorganisms that get into the body? So the correct option is option A, antibodies. Now come towards the third question. Use these words to fill the gaps in the passage about the pumping cycle of the heart. So the passage is, blood from the body enters the right atrium through a large blood vessels, that is also called vena cava. Blood from the lungs enter the left atrium through the pulmonary vein. The arteria contracts together, pushes the blood into the ventricles. From the left ventricle, blood is pumped into the body through the aorta, the largest artery of the body, and from the right ventricle, the lungs along the pulmonary vein. A pulmonary artery. Both ventricles contract at the same times. Every contractions of the arteria and ventricle is called a heartbeat, and this is measured by taking your pulse. Come to the fourth questions. The diagram shows the human circulatory system. So put these labels in the correct places on the diagram. This is what's called the main vein. Blood carrying carbon dioxide. This part of the heart is what's called right side of the heart. Now come towards the left side of the heart. Then main arteries, and these are the arteries that are carrying blood from the heart to the body. The second part of this question is, explain why the scientists call this a double circulation. Because the blood comes twice to the heart as it goes once around the body. The third part of this question is, suggest why one side of the heart is larger than the other. So the reason behind it, that the left ventricle of the heart is larger than and thicker than the right ventricle. It is because it has to pump the blood further around the body and against higher pressure compared with the right ventricle. Come toward the fifth question. The table shows the diameter of the three blood vessels and the speed of the blood flows through them. So the artery have a diameter 4.0 millimeters and its speed is 30 centimeters per second. The diameter of capillary is just 0.001 millimeters and the speed is less than 0.1 centimeters per second. The vein have a diameter 5 millimeters and its speed is just 4 centimeters per second. In which blood vessels does the blood flows fastest? So it is quite clear from the table that artery is the blood vessel where the blood is the travel, or the speed of the blood is the fastest one, and the slowest one, then that is also called a capillary. Which blood vessel has the largest diameter? So the vein has the largest diameter, and the smallest diameter have capillary. The third part of this question is suggest why the blood flows much faster in arteries than veins. So the reason behind is due to the high pressure caused by the stronger left ventricle. Suggest why it is an advantage for the blood to flow very slowly through capillaries. So the answer is to allow more time for the exchange of the substances between the blood and the tissue. Now come to the sixth question. The diagram shows some red blood cells and some white blood cells. Describe the shape of the red blood cells. So the shape of the red blood cells is round with a hollow on both sides. And what is the main difference between the red blood cells and white blood cells? So dear students, you all know that the red blood cells do not have a nucleus, but the white blood cells have. Come toward the third part of this question. Suggest why the white blood cells live a lot longer than the red blood cells. Red blood cells have no nucleus, and the nucleus controls all the cell's activities. That's why the life of the red blood cells is quite shorter than that of the red blood cells lives is quite shorter than that of the white blood cells. The diagram shows some of the materials are transported by the blood and where they are transported. Write in the boxes what carries each materials. So use one of the following words in each boxes, and the first one has been done for you. So hormones from glands to the targeted cells, that is plasma, it is already been done. Oxygen from the lungs to the body cells, so red blood cells are responsible for that. The carbon dioxide from the cells to the lungs, so plasma is responsible there. From food from the intestine to the liver, again plasma is responsible there. And waste or urea from the cells to the kidneys, so plasma is again responsible there. The eighth question of this exercise is the diagram shows how the blood forms a clot to heal a wound in the skin. So what is a blood clot? The answer is red blood cells caught in the nut of the fibers. You can see here it is mentioned over there. These are the nuts. This is a nut that is formed by the what fibers are platelets, and the red blood cells are caught there in this nut, and because of this this is also called a blood clot. The tiny bits in the plasma are platelets. What are platelets? So these are the bits of the cell broken off from larger cells in the bone marrow. What part do platelets play in the formation of the blood clot? So platelets causes tiny fibers to form a net across the cut. Red cells gets caught in the net forming a blood clot. Come towards the third part of this question and describe how the blood clot forms. So platelets causes tiny fibers to form a net across the cut. Red cells get caught in the net forming a blood clot. What is the hard surface of the blood clot card? So that is also called a scab. What job does it to do? So it protects the wound, or it protects the cut while new skin grows there. The fifth part of this question is red blood cells only live for a few months. Dead red blood cells are removed from the blood by the liver. Explain why the liver is a dull red color. So the answer is quite clear that red cells die, they lose their color and become dull red color. The liver removes lots of red cells, so it takes on the dull red color from the dead red cells. Come toward the last question of this exercise. The graph shows how the pulse rate of the students changed over a period of time as he took some exercise. So dear students, you can see here from the graph that he is starting his exercise from 5, okay, and he ends his exercise there in 15. Okay, so this is the period where the student is exercising over there. According to this graph, we will give the answers. What was the student's highest pulse rate? So you can see here from this figure, it is 110. So 110 beats per minute is the highest or the highest pulse rate. The lowest pulse rate is that is about this one, 65. So 65 beats per minute is the lowest pulse rate. For how long did the student exercise? So it is quite clear that he starts from 5 and he ends at 15. So the difference between 15 minus 5, so we will get 10. So he is exercising there for 10 minutes. He is exercising there for 10 minutes. Describe the effect of the exercise on the student's pulse rate. So the answer is the exercise causing the student pulse rate to rise. You can see it here from this figure. What is a pulse? So a pulse is the surge of the blood produced every time the ventricle contracts. The second part of this part of the question is describe how you will take someone's pulse. So the answer is place your finger, not the thumb, because the thumb will tell you about your own pulse rate. Okay. So place your fingers over the wrist where an artery passes between a bone and the surface of the skin. Dear students, this is all about the exercise. Thank you so very much for joining me. Thank you so much.